G'day guys, back with the trailer mods, just about to get stuck into the first bit of work with it. So this is part number 2 of, I don't know how long the series is going to be. This is going to be a while before I manage to afford to buy everything I want to buy for this. We're just starting with some basic stuff at the moment, but even that just cost me nearly 250 bucks. So first job is we're going to get stuck into sealing up the front. Now this was originally an ordinary 6x4 trailer, and it's had the top piece put on as an addition. So the front section's still got the type of drop down door. It can't drop down anymore because there's a toolbox in the way, so what I need to do now is get in there and completely seal that up with silicone, and we want to dust proof this as much as we can because it's going to be dragged along behind the 4x4. And as you can probably hear from that, we live in a noisy hellhole of a place, but not much I can do about that. There will be some noise interruptions as we film this, I guess, but sorry about that in advance. So let's get to it. Just before I get going, what you're looking at there is the gear we've just picked up from Bunnings. Quite a few bits and pieces, nothing really large at the moment. This is just fixings and stuff to let me get started. So there's not going to be any great changes to the trailer initially. The bigger items are going to come later on, but this is step number 1. And in order to try and light things up a little bit better and to let me see inside the trailer, we've just got some workshop lights up there. We tend to use those as studio lights as well, so make use of those on this project while I'm working inside the trailer, and hopefully I'll be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so step number 1 is going to be sealing up as much of the gaps in the front of the trailer as I can. You can probably see the light coming through there. Now if light comes through it, dust is definitely going to come through it. So firstly I've got to clean that up as much as I can, and then we're going to seal it all up with silicone. And I apologise also for the echo that's going to be on the sound for this, because very, very echoey in this trailer. Unfortunately, nothing much I can do about that. Now, as you can tell from that, I'm not the greatest silicone expert in the world, but if there's any gaps there, I'll check them out later. I'll put the hose on it, and then I'll fill any spots that I've missed. I'm going to run some more silicone around the sides later on, but the main thing for the moment is just get that front door all sealed up, because the water tanks are going to go up against the wall here. So once they go in and I strap them down with metal straps, then I'm not going to be able to access that all that easily. I'd have to take the tanks out again to do so. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go over that again. I'll maybe run another bead down the outside as well, but now I'm going to run some along the top and along the bottom, and that'll do for that section for now. I've noticed there's a little bit of gaps along this edge here as well, so I'll run another bead along there just to make sure that any dust that hits the front of this from the 4x4 stays outside at least as much as possible. Now, we definitely don't want these water tanks to leak once we put them in, so we're going to put some plumber's tape, and I'm also just going to put a smear of silicone around the threads too. Now that means it's going to be a bit more difficult to undo, but it should pretty well ensure that they don't leak. So we'll just put a little smear on there, not too much, but enough to fill the threads. Now you've got to bear in mind that I'm one of those people who is not particularly handy, so all of this is a bit of a challenge. Attempt number one at putting these tanks in, I'm hoping to secure them with this. Now I know this is not what's used in caravans, but in caravans they're hanging down underneath. All I have to do in this case is just make sure they don't move around. So we're going to be using this strapping, galvanised. The trailer's galvanised, this is galvanised, so hoping that that's not going to be a problem. Use this strapping to hold them in place. We'll see how well that's going to work out. Now you can get a little idea of how this is going to progress. You can see how the straps will keep it in, and they're actually a little loose at the moment, and that's deliberate because what I'm going to do is take that top piece up again, and I'll be sliding some padding down in there, because with the vibrations you're always going to get a little bit of movement in the tanks, and especially when they're full of water. I don't want it to move around and rub on the tank, because that metal will wear through it fairly quickly, I would imagine. So you're going to put a bit of padding under there. I'll do a bit of research. It's probably going to be rubber or synthetic rubber or something like that, and we'll just lift those top straps up, and once it's all down we'll then put a final anchor through the side to hold it all down tight. So it's all good in theory, sounds good to me at the moment. It's going to depend on how it works out, whether it all goes to poop or not. Like I say, I'm not the greatest handyman in the world, so I'm doing all this based on no real knowledge at all, and just trying to do something. Okay, well, now to get the other side strapped down. And once that's strapped down, then I'll tentatively put the hoses in place and have a look at how it all sits once that's finished. Okay, that's the two tanks with their rough positions. I've got plenty of strapping left over, and what I'm going to do for even added security, I don't think they're going to move much from there, but always like to overdo security. We're going to run another one vertically down the tank in the middle. So firstly I've got to get these in properly, get their padding on, and then we'll run a third strap right down the centre of the tank, just to make sure they're not going to shift around at all. So now I'm going to have a look at the pipes and try to work out exactly how I'm going to put those together. Now I'm running a 13mm hose between the two tanks, and run a three-way connection here, and I'm just going to run the outlet hose down to this corner. That's the outside corner away from the door. Some shelving may go here eventually, so I may modify that a little bit and run it along the edge, but for now it's just going to run along the floor. And on the other side there I'm going to set the inlet hose up, which is this one. Now the inlet is going to be 20mm or 19mm, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to attach that along the side here and just have the filler at the top, and of course we've got an on-off valve here to stop any dust getting in when we're not filling the tank. So the next thing to do is to just hook in another hose to the connector that you can see here, run that down to the edge. I'm going to leave that loose for now, and I'm going to attach the hose that's running across there so nothing catches it and accidentally breaks the connectors. So we'll secure that in place, run a 13mm down here, and then run the 19mm along the edge, and somewhere up here we'll have the filler. Okay, we've still got a few hose clamps to put on these things. That'll be done a little bit later once we're happy with everything in its position. But this is our inlet hose coming up to a valve here. When we're filling, we just turn it on and off again when we're full to keep the dust out. And up this end is the filler. Just going to keep that a little bit flexible at the end so we can bend it over, put a smaller hose in it, or a funnel, or whatever we want to put there. We've also got a little gadget that we can connect to that, which is this little beastie here. Now what that is a pump. There we go. What that is a pump, and it's not the ordinary everyday sort of pump. This is a pump you use on the end of a drill. So the little Ozito drill come electric screwdriver will get connected to that, and then we can pump water up from a bit further away, and don't have to stand and hold containers up in the air while we're filling the tanks. So that should be a little useful addition. I'm not sure where I'm going to mount that yet, or if I'm going to mount it, but it's a new little gadget from Aldi. So guess what, guys? Aldi again. Yep. I don't even know if it works yet, haven't even tried it out. So this is all part of the learning process. We're just going to attach this pump, and then we can pump up from containers in the back of the car or whatever. So hopefully that'll be useful. Now, I don't know whether you noticed that back door start to close on me as the wind switched around, but that's going to be one of the jobs I get to hopefully tomorrow. What we have to do with that is put a clip across the back and a chain up the top there to stop the door from swinging around violently when there's a wind. So that'll probably be the next job I tackle. I've got one thing left to do today, and that's just to run the water hose out from the three-way connection there, and then that gives me some rough idea of how this is going to be. Over the top of those water tanks I'm going to put shelving, I think, not right up to here, but at least up to the rib here. So we'll put a shelf across that section, and then we can pack more stuff on top of the water tanks, and I may at some stage even build something over the top of the water tanks just to give them a bit of cover. I don't know. I usually have these good ideas and never get around to doing them, but it's a possibility. Alright, let's just finish off the hose today. I've got to get a few more hose clamps, some nice metal ones with the little thumb screw tighteners. I like those. And that'll be it for this video and today's work. Just to let you know, I'm not holding these videos back. The day I do the work is the day you're going to get to see the video on the Patreon channel. So I guess you'll know when I've done the work, because it'll be up there in that evening on the channel. So hope you're enjoying the start of this little project. I think it's going to last a long time. I've got a lot to do to this trailer. There's lots of things I want to do to it. It's going to take me a long time, not because of the work, because of the money. I'm not rich, so it's going to take me a while to save up for the bits and pieces I want, and as I save up and do the work, then I'll get these videos up and show you how I'm going. Anyway, cheers for watching. Thank you for being Patreons and supporting this channel. It makes a huge difference to me that people like what I do and will support the channel in this way. And it helps a bit financially when we've got to go out and spend the dollars to do these sorts of things. I mean, you saw those things today, just a few items from Bunnings, $240 odd, so ouch. And I've got a lot more to spend before I finish this one. Well, cheers, catch you later, see ya.